bell ringer. What do you think of when you hear Edgar Allan Poe? Noah.
A poem?
A poem. Any particular poem?
No.
Then don't read it off the board since you already know what poem we're doing by here. Chaz?
A raven.
The Raven. Anybody heard of Raven? The Raven. Creepy, scary, Halloweenish poem. Okay, Ethan?
Sad, depressing.
Sad, depressing, creepy. Who taught you that? I mean, did you learn that from like your own reading or a teacher?
Sort of my own reading.
Your own reading. Okay. Blaine?
I kind of sort of think of Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar Allan Pug?
Yeah.
Like a dog?
Yeah, a dog.
Is that like a TV show?
No, it's the pug name. It's named for a
Edgar
pug.
Allan Pug?
Yeah, it's named for a pug.
Okay, that's a first for me. Okay, Kelsey?
Deep, dark things.
Do what?
Deep, dark things.
Deep, dark things. Where did you learn that? Did you learn that in class or your own readings?
One of my aunts had a good adventures novel.
Okay, so kind of in passing, you just kind of heard. Anybody else? Random things about Edgar Allan Poe? Okay, good. Those are really good answers. Okay, so we have a really super creepy picture up here. And I'm sorry to depress you so at such an early time in the day, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So what is going on in this craziness? What's going on? Anybody know? Random tape?
Like the woman's dead.
A woman's dead. Okay, who's the guy holding her? Anybody know? Edgar Allan Poe. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, so he's holding a dead woman. Weird. Ethan?
It looks like the woman had his life sucked out of her.
Has the life sucked out of her. Have you read this poem before?
No, it just looks like it.
I feel like you've read it before.
No, I
Esther.
have not. It's just
Tell everyone the answers before I even start. Okay, anyway, so there's some Gothic elements, okay? Remember when we talked about Rime of the Ancient Mariner, we talked about Gothic. What does Gothic mean? Not like Gothic in today's time. Gothic, like what kind of things do you think when you think Gothic? Take? Dark, scary. Kelsey? Bloody, possibly. Jamie?
Death.
Death. Okay. So do you think this might have a Gothic theme by the picture showing? Probably, yes. And if you hear Edgar Allan Poe, you should automatically think Gothic. I mean, that should be just what you think of. Because he is, like a bunch of you said, he's creepy, he's dark, he's really weird. All of his poems have very strange messages. But let me tell you a little bit about his life. The reason that they say that he wrote weird, disturbing things was because he had a really hard life. He was in, I think his parents died, so he's an orphan, and he went to live with like maybe I guess a foster family, and he just had some mental issues. His mom died when she was really young, so he had to deal with that. His sister died when she was really young, and his wife died when she was really young. Okay, but he married his wife. Okay, he was like in his, say, 30s, 40s. Okay, do you want to know how old his wife was? Married his cousin. How old do you think his cousin was when he married her?
in the teens.
13. Okay, he was like in his 40s, and she was 13. Okay, so obviously she did die young. She had a tuberculosis kind of thing going on. And I actually read a book called Mrs. Poe. It's out in the bookstores right now. It's really, really good. And it talks about his life and his relationship with his 13-year-old cousin. You know, do what you will, I guess. But they did that in that time period. That's kind of, that was a norm. But he was, let's just say, obsessed with young, dead women. If that makes any sense. Perfect for Valentine's Day, right? Yay! This is so happy and lovey. Okay, so he was obsessed with dead young women. So he wrote about being obsessed with dead young women. Why was he? Because of all the stuff that he's gone through. So in Annabelle Lee, which we're going to read today, she's a representation of his wife when she died. So it's, I think, you know, there's a line here. And I think when I read it, I think, okay, it has some really beautiful quotes, like really good mishy-gushy Valentine's Day quotes. Beautiful. And then I read at the end and I'm like, slightly disturbing. So I'm not really sure what to think of the poem. And I want you all to kind of see if you think it's lovey and inspiring or if it's slightly on the creepy side. So, what I'm going to do is pass out these poems. So, just like you kept the other poems, I want you to keep these. This is a little bit prettier. It even has a picture. You're welcome. Of a little ghostly looking woman. Aren't you all glad to be studying this on Valentine's week? God, this is so sweet. This is like love story with a twist. Say Nicholas Sparks with a twist. This guy was Nicholas Sparks before Nicholas Sparks even existed. But a slightly. Okay, come on now. I don't read books. Nicholas Sparks is an author of a lot of mushy-gushy books, but they're so good. They're so sweet. So good. Have you heard of the Notebook, Nicholas Sparks? Okay, so I want you to look at your papers. You all have Annabelle Lee, written by Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, I want you to silent read it. Okay, what do we do? Somebody remind me. What do we do when we silent read something? What's a strategy that helps us with comprehension when we silent read something? We've been doing it. Yes. Look at each stanza and do what? Give a small summary of each stanza, Kelsey.
SQ3R.
Do what?
SQ3R.
SQ3R, good, which is survey, question, you know, all that.
Yeah.
SQ3R, okay, good. Exactly, that's really, really good. Okay, so if you don't know how to SQ3R, then let's just say summarize it. Maybe underline some things you don't understand, maybe circle, maybe highlight, do whatever you feel the need to do to help you understand the poem. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Look at the poem, silent read it, and take notes on it. When you're finished reading, I want you to give me a thumbs up. Remember to give me a thumbs up when you're finished, so I know it's finished. Okay, what I'm passing out to you right now is a kind of a guide. Remember when you were writing your figurative language poems, Miss Hall gave you a guide on how to make your writing a little bit more spicy with some interesting words and not such a boring, like blah, blah, okay? This is called a poetry guide. Kind of the same thing. This is what you really want to focus on when you're reading poetry. And I recommend that you keep this. I wanted to laminate for you, but I didn't have time. But it's laminate worthy, okay? I would keep it because sometime in the future you're probably going to have to analyze poetry. And these are some huge elements that if you have to say write an open response about poetry, you could cover some of these topics. And every poem has all of these in it. So it's totally versatile. You can use it over the span of all poetry. So let's look. Title. Somebody give me the title. What's the title of the poem? Annabelle Lee. Okay, what's the attitude? So let's read attitude. What is the speaker and the poet's attitude or mood? What's the mood of it? What's the mood of it, Ethan? Gothic and depressing. Anybody? Did you want to say something? Sad. Okay, she's saying that it's sad. Jamie?
Well, at the beginning, I guess you could say it's kind of happy and light.
Okay.
Towards the end, it gets dark, sad, and deathly.
Okay, good. Any other moods you get from it, Kelsey?
He's very in love with her.
Okay.
He's really sad.
So maybe love could be a mood, right? Like light, feathery, lovey kind of thing. Okay, so paraphrase. It says to translate the poem in your own words. I feel like you all can paraphrase it. Paraphrase it for me. Somebody paraphrase it. What happens? What happens? What happens? How about... Okay, a girl that dies, her husband mourns her. Anybody else have a different paraphrase? Anybody else get anything different from it? Anything else different? Okay, let's go to the next one. Imagery. What kinds of imagery and poetic devices does the poet use? So let's see, poetic devices. What about alliteration? Any alliteration? Remember we studied that in our figurative language unit. Any alliteration? You see any? You see any? Look, look, look. There's anything in there that has any alliteration. Let me take a look myself. What about imagery? What kind of imagery do you see? Oh, I see alliteration. Demons down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th stanza. Demons down, that's alliteration. Although it's not like a bunch of these in a row. Demons down, that's alliteration. What's the imagery? Give me an imagery. Kingdom by the sea, maybe a little bit magical, maybe a little bit fairy tale-ish. Okay. Other imagery. What else do you see when you read the poem? What do you see? Do what? What do you see? Do you see Annabelle Lee? Can you picture her? What do you picture her as? What do you picture her as, Howie? It could be anything. He didn't really give a description, I don't guess. What do you think she looks like? Could be like Edgar Allan Poe's wife, since he was probably thinking of her when he wrote this. But we don't know. We don't know if I would say she's young, okay, because it says I was a child, she was a child. So I'm thinking young. What else?
I see it.
Okay, where do you see it? Second stanza, third, but we loved with a love that was more than love. So what are we repeating? Love, 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 love with a love that was more than a love. Okay. Good. Very good. Glad you pointed that out. Okay, so last thing, theme. What do you think the overall theme is? Just by reading it your first time, what do you think the theme, Lane, what do you think the theme is? And there may not be a right or wrong answer. You're probably right. Just try. What's a theme? What's he trying to teach us?
Appreciate her more, I guess.
Appreciate your love more. Excellent. Okay. Any other themes that you're getting from it? Other themes of Ethan? Do you want to say another theme? Kate?
Appreciate what you have.
Appreciate what you have while you have it. We sometimes think of that maybe when a loved one passes away and we're like, you don't realize what you have until they're gone. That's a really good point. Somebody else, Kelsey? Love never ends. Oh, isn't that beautiful for Valentine's Day? Love never ends. maybe Edgar Allan Poe wasn't so weird. Maybe he did have a little sense and little heartfelt messages. Love never ends. Very good. Okay, I want you to look. Let me find it. It is second stanza. What Tate pointed out. Second stanza, the third line, where it says, "But we loved with a love that was more than love." What in the world does that mean? Loved with a love that was more than love. What does that mean, Emily? So they loved each other more than could be described. Okay. Anybody else have any other interpretations of what that means? I'm thinking maybe that their love was more than what met the eye. You know what I'm saying? Maybe their love was deeper than anybody else could see physically. Maybe it was much deeper and much stronger than anybody else could have ever known, because the only person that could have ever known the love was the two of them. Okay, tell me if this is correct. It says, "Oh, my darling, my life and my bride, in the sepulchre thereabouts." He says he lies down by the side of his darling in the sepulchre. Look down in your vocabulary list. What does sepulchre mean? A tomb. Okay. Do you think he's literally lying in her tomb?
He can't live beside her.
By her side every night? If you take that literally, that's a tad creepy. Because, like, he's laying with a dead body. Ew, weird. Okay, so if you take it literally, it's super creepy. Now, if we take it figuratively, and he's not literally laying by her side, what could it mean figuratively if he's not, like, actually laying beside her? Yes, maybe goes and visits her.
Maybe he always has her, like, his heart with him.
So heartfelt. It's like,
He's going to die.
he's going to die.
Be buried beside her.
Be buried beside her. Constantly thinking about her. Okay, so you could, some people take it literally and like, but I wouldn't really put it past Edgar Allan Poe to do something like that, because he was I think he was like really mentally disturbed. And I would not put it past him to lay beside his dead bride's corpse. Honestly, I really wouldn't. By reading his other poems, I would not put it past him. Yes. Tuberculosis? I don't know. I'm not like a medical, I'm not really sure. I just know that it consumed a lot of people. Now, in the book I've read personally, Edgar Allan Poe wasn't around her a whole lot. He was really devoted to his work. But that may be the author of the book that I read, their interpretation of him. I don't know if he didn't catch it maybe because he wasn't around her a whole lot, or maybe it wasn't as contagious. I'm not sure. That's a really good question. I'm not sure. And it may not have exactly been tuberculosis, but it was kind of like it. It was some kind of disease like that left her immobile. It left her at home. So, here's what we're going to do. I found a clip of these people, and they're acting it out like a short film. Oh my gosh, I watched it last night, and I'm not kidding you. By the end of it, I had tears. I'm going to really try to hold it in today and not crying for it, because that'd be so embarrassing to ruin my makeup. But I'm serious. I didn't think it would, and then by the end, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so sad. Like, I was just like, oh, this poem. Okay, so seriously, I'm really going to try to like hold it in, like not look at the very end. But it's so good. I promise, it's so good. Let me get it pulled up here. It's not lengthy, but it's longer than like a 2-minute film. So I want you to pay attention, because I think it's represented absolutely beautifully. I think it is, I just think it's absolutely beautiful. So that's just my opinion though. I want to see what your opinion is. Somebody hit the lights for me, thank you.
It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea. and a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee.
There is some kissing. I promise it's not vulgar. I promise. I wouldn't show it.
This maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me.
Get this is Edgar Allan Poe and Annabelle Lee.
I was a child and she was a child, this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love. I and my Annabel Lee. With a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee. So that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me. To shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom
What's
by
a
the sea.
sepulchre? What's a sepulchre? A tomb.
The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams, the beautiful Annabelle Lee. The stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee.
Creepy part? Weird.
And so all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in the sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea.
Skip ahead a little bit. Good part. Okay. All right, you all gotta go, but we'll watch the rest of the ending tomorrow. I know. 50? Yes. Ooh, great. I thought it was 40. This makes me happy. Okay, great. Never mind. Continue. Okay. All right. So, you can hit the lights back on. Any other thoughts from watching the video? Bad?
Sad.
Oh, sad. I was like, that wasn't a bad video. That was great. Sad. Okay. Any other thoughts? I think that is beautiful. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Yes. Creepy. See, they're taking it literally, like he really laid down the tomb to her. Is she I think in his head, honestly, like he was so disturbed. I think that in his head he really did think she came back to life. Like she visited him maybe in his dreams. I mean, literally, I don't know if he laid with the dead corpse. I'm really not sure. But wouldn't surprise me if he did. But I think that this is a beautiful representation of what it's like. You see their love story, you see it, walk through it, and then suddenly she dies, and you feel what he's feeling like, okay, she's gone, what am I going to do? And then I think that the part that I teared up, I don't know, I guess I'm more sensitive. I don't know, maybe I'm just crybaby. But at the end where he's an old man, and he's still coming to see his wife's tomb, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's like so Nicholas Sparks. I mean, really, like, he invented the wheel, but do not let Nicholas Sparks fool you. Edgar Allan Poe invented the wheel way before that with this poem. Yes? Okay, I've not seen Fault in Our Stars, but yeah, okay. Yes. Did you? you want to say something, Blaine?
No, I'll scratch my head.
Oh, okay. Scratch your head. Okay. But I mean, I think it's so sweet. You know, he's like, it shows he's coming back with as an old man, and he's visiting his wife. That's still her tomb. Her sepulcher is still by the sea, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is so sweet. Do what?
Why did they just leave it there?
I don't know why they left her on the sea. That's why I'm kind of thinking this is like a fairy tale-ish kind of a poem. I don't. In reality, could he leave a tomb on the sea? No. Maybe if by some reason you had like private property on a beach. I mean, if you owned it, I guess you could, but still it would be really creepy to leave a coffin on the sea. I'm not sure. But, you know, it's interesting that he puts this setting by a sea. Because normally when we think sea, we think summer, we think happy, we think, you know, oh, romantic, we think vacation, we think, oh, everybody's going to the sea because it's beautiful. And then, but why would he put a tomb in a beautiful place? So she could be happy, maybe. What about since she's beautiful also?
It's also easy to do.
Even though she's dead. But he was obsessed, the beauty of a dead woman. I mean, he was so fixated on, like, how beautiful a dead woman is. Creepy, I know. But when you watch it like that, interpret it, it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And very, very Valentine-y if you would like to take it that way. Very perfect for Valentine's Day. So, what we're going to do, I want you to, we've got a half sheet of paper. We're going to do an exit slip. So, half sheet of paper. Keep your Edgar Allan Poe poem. Keep that. We'll go over it a tad bit tomorrow. So try to rip it up right at half a sheet. I don't like to get like little slivers because I can't read it. Slate. You're like the sliver king. Like you have a piece of paper about this big and you're like trying to write on it. I want a half a sheet of paper. Try to make it as close to a half a sheet as possible. And I want you to give me 3 sentences. It has to be complete sentences. What is a complete sentence? Give me a part of a complete sentence. It must have a subject. It must have a predicate or a verb. And it must start with a capital letter. And it must end with a punctuation. Very good. 3 sentences, okay? I want you to give me a summary of this poem. 3 sentences, okay? You should be able, I could do it maybe a paragraph. It's hard to even condense it down to 3 sentences. Condense it down. What's most important, get that main idea in there, okay? You could even say the main idea is blank. So, 3 sentences, condense it. If you're finished, write your full thing at the top. And still get stuff with no names. I cannot distinguish your handwriting from another, so you've got to put your name on it. No, not middle name. Just first and last name. Now, did you like the poem? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Did you like it? Sweet, kinda, Valentine, kinda, creepy, a little bit, but, you know, it's all up to you. It's interpretation. Like we said, poetry is totally up to the reader. In parts, it is up to the reader. So figure it out. Do what? The video made it what? Yeah, well, you know. Edgar Allan Poe was a tiny bit of a psycho, but you know.
Did he have a beard like that?
Do what?
Did he have a beard like that? Or did he look like that guy?
No, he looked like, you know, the picture we showed before, that's what he looked like. Real dark hair, dark mustache.
Oh, he did have.
He looked creepy in and of himself, so, you know. Okay, I want this row to put your exit slips where they need to go. If you understood the poem completely, like could teach it tomorrow to me, then put it, got it, kind of, or no. It looks folded. Okay. Keep your poems. Keep your poems. We'll talk a tad bit about it tomorrow as sort of a review. This row, go ahead and put your exit slip where it needs to go.
Was he a Jew?
Was he a Jew?
Yeah.
No, and I'm not sure why he was wearing a yarmulke. I'm really not, I don't know why they interpreted it that way. I don't think it was. I'll look it up, but I don't remember that being. Okay, here we go. This row.
This one, right? We keep these.
Yes.
Is that mine, so-
Keep your poems. Keep your poems. This row.